100 days away from Lions and Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City for the opening of the 2023 NFL season, and there are 100 storylines to keep an eye on. Matt, just
our friend Cody Benjamin of CBS did
that's
that.
right. CBS Sports, 100 things to know with 100 days until week 1 of the NFL season. And there are 7 of these storylines that involve your Detroit Lions.
I love it.
So I thought we could go through some of these.
Okay.
And the ones that involve the Lions, go around the room and talk about each one. How's that sound, fellas?
Sounds
good.
great.
Does that sound good to you?
100 days. Think about it. When the Super Bowl ended, we were like, oh, my God, we got to wait all this time.
Feels like forever.
For the draft. Yeah. And how quick did the draft hit us?
But you also do understand that time from the end of Super Bowl to getting to the draft, to getting through the end of the trade deadline, all that stuff, and then the NBA Finals, like it still gives us kind of distractions.
Yeah, I know.
Now we're gonna feel it.
It's baseball.
Like 100%. Oh my God.
Another 2 weeks.
June and July.
Hey,
get
Tigers
tough.
are playing great.
Hey, man, we'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes, too. All right, guys, here we go. Storyline number 1 regarding the Detroit Lions. The Lions are a preseason darling after winning 8 of their final 10 games in 2022. Their season opening matchup with the Chiefs is just one of 4 primetime games on their 2023 slate, not including a Thanksgiving Day matchup with the Packers. 5 primetime games, Braylon, for this Lions football team.
As I stated, just one of the situations when you win, when you show that you can be consistent, when you show that you have a GM that is comparable, when you have a coach that is competent, when you have players that play hard, people start to trust you. They start seeing they want to show you off, and that's what the analysts want to do, and that's what the NFL wants to do. They trust the Detroit Lions. Much like Dan Campbell said, they trust them just to at least maybe not get blown out and be respectful. But I think more than that, I think people are scared of the Detroit Lions.
I think they were the darling last year. Everyone wanted them to make the playoffs. You got guys like Lou Riddick jumping all over them and pushing them out into the forefront. Dan Orlovsky as well. Man, what they did last year was special, and it looks just like they're getting better. Look what they did with the draft. There might be a couple of naysayers, but for the most part, I think they nailed their draft. They got 3 starters on top of that team from last year. I think nothing but sky's the limit here, and I can't wait, man.
Yeah, you're right, man. I'm going to piggyback on something you just said in the first part. Last year, before the season started, there were some people talking about the Lions 3-13-1, but there were some positive individuals. Dan was one of those guys. Marcus Spears said a thing or two. But once the season started and you saw that Lions offense in Game 1 against the Philadelphia Eagles, Game 2 against the Seattle Seahawks, Dan Orlovsky gave a lot of love to Jared Goff, to the Detroit Lions offense, to Ben Johnson and what they were doing. And then Marcus Spears gave a lot of credit to Aiden Hutchinson. And they wanted them to hang on. And once the Lions started that 8-2 run in the last 10 games, they were excited that they hung on. And then that's when you started to see the backing really from Dan, Lewis Riddick, and Marcus Spears.
By the way, it's Kristen Harper's birthday today. Jared Goff's lovely girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that picture that
Very
he put
good.
out with
Very
him
good.
hugging her?
I did not, Maz, but I'm sure you saw it a couple times.
I sure did.
Real good. Hey,
that's our quarterback.
that's right. That is our quarterback.
That photo shoot at the beach.
I want to ask you if you surveyed NFL fans and you weren't able to say your own team, who do you think NFL fans collectively would say, I want to watch in prime time? You can't, obviously the Chiefs, obviously the Jets, I think in 2023, and outside of those 2 teams, who do you think NFL fans not being able to say their own team? The Eagles?
Yeah.
Eagles?
Okay.
Cowboys always.
Cowboys
Really?
always.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, like you said, I mean,
I think we're top 5.
Yeah.
because Minnesota, you don't want to see Minnesota, you want to see Justin Jefferson. Maybe the Dolphins, maybe Tyreek Hill.
I don't know.
Tyreek Hill,
I feel like they're a bit of a darling.
They know it ain't the Patriots.
Guys, next storyline here, as put out by CBS Sports. Detroit hasn't made the playoffs in 7 years or won a playoff game since '91, but the Lions are the odds-on favorite to win the NFC North per Caesar Sportsbook, something they haven't done in 30 years. Wouldn't it be a major disappointment if they didn't? To me, I've said it before, you'll get sick and tired of me saying it again. I believe that is the floor for this year is a home playoff game in a division championship.
Yeah, you're 100% right. In terms of making the playoff, I think the ceiling is the playoff as it relates to winning the division. Look, I picked them to win the division, but if they didn't win the division but they still got in the playoff, I think that is the ceiling for me. But once again, I can also see the other side. It can be very easy for them not to make the playoffs. You look at how the season starts. How do you get off on the right foot or the wrong foot against the Kansas City Chiefs, the returning Super Bowl champs, and then you come right back against Seattle Seahawks. So if they can't get out to a fast start, I mean, it's a very real thing that you could be in danger. But with that being said, I got them winning the NFC North. So don't forget that.
I hope my two favorite words comes true this year. Vegas knows 9.5, so I'll say at least 10 wins. I'm not going to go backwards this time. I think sometimes they miss, right? Maybe they get 11, 12, or 13, as you might think.
Yeah.
It's their time. It's time for the Lions. Next year is the draft here in Detroit. You're going to get maybe a new uniform, a tweak of a helmet, whatever it takes. It's Detroit Lions time. It's about time that you come out of the Barry Sanders shadows, out of the Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford little shadow that they left. And here we are now. The sky's the limit again, I'm going to say.
Yeah, you know what, man? It's like I'm agree with you on that, and I'm gonna just agree with what you see. It's before when the Lions have had some good teams. You look at that 2013 team, that 14 team. You look at the random playoffs in 17, how they start off one, how they finish strong, etc. You look at those teams. The national pundits, the national media, the NFL itself, nobody got around those teams with Calvin Johnson. I mean, Calvin Johnson at the time was arguably the best receiver in the NFL. In fact, they may not even be able to be argued except for maybe AB. They didn't care about Calvin being that good. They didn't care about Matt Stafford and 5,000 yards. They didn't care about Nick Fairley and Ziggy Ansah and DeAndre Levy having 7 interceptions or 8 or whatever the hell it was. They never bought in. Same old Lions. But now it's different. Everyone is buying their hell. Barry Sanders talks about the monster, like you said, that Dan Campbell is creating. Hell, I have lived here for 40 years. I have bought into the Detroit Lions. So everyone gets it. It's different this time. That's the other thing that I'm paying attention to. Everybody can't be wrong.
The surge in popularity stems not just from their late push in 2022, but a busy offseason that saw them add Jahmyr Gibbs and a slew of new defensive backs. Veteran quarterback Jared Goff, Maz's guy, is also coming off a productive year, feeding a wide receiver core headlined by Amon-Ra St. Brown. How good can Amon-Ra St. Brown be?
Maz, I'll let you take that. I'll take the defense.
Well, we all think, here in Detroit at least, or in the chat, we think he's a top 10 receiver.
At least a top 12 to
top
14
12
guy.
For sure.
For sure.
The guy he doesn't drop passes. D-Hop was 1%, right? Did you say?
1%, he was 1.1.
Yeah, St. Brown's right there on his tail. Can you imagine those two together, by the way? Sidebar.
Yeah.
This kid is a winner. You saw him on draft. After he got drafted, you saw him rattle off all the teams and all the names of the receivers picked ahead of him. You see his dad, Mr. Universe.
Yeah.
Come on, man. This guy's not going to be stopped. He's only going up.
Yeah, 100%. And you're talking about the secondary side of things. Brian Branch was the best secondary overall player in this draft. A steal in the third round, a complete steal in getting Brian Branch. And then you go pick up my favorite Detroit Lion now, Cam Sutton. After we interview him, he's become my favorite player in terms of what he means to the team, in terms of his decision to come here, how excited he is in terms of his leadership. Like, that guy is going to be special here. And then your favorite player, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And that was a player that you wanted out of the free agency pool. Maz, you got your guy, and so did the Detroit Lions. And I'm just excited.
They got a steal.
The best thing just watching players that have come here to Detroit, everyone is excited to be in Detroit. People chose to come to Detroit and further their careers. People chose to take the deals in Detroit. People chose, as soon as they got here, to be excited and talk about what they were willing to do. Remember David Montgomery, what he said? I don't care if I'm passing out water, whatever, playing second fiddle, doing whatever. I'm ready to win. That's been everybody's attitude, man. It's going to be a good year.